get this to work here. Hey, that'll work. That should suffice. Greetings and welcome. All right, welcome. Thank you all for stopping by here on YouTube Live at The Real Bloom from Within Love. I go by Bloomy. Hold on. There you go. Hope you guys are doing well wherever you are on the globe. Anything that you all need to know about me should be listed in the description box. And to my returning viewers, my returning subscribers, I just want to say, those of you who are here, of course, for high vibe reasons, I want to say, I love you, send you love and light. I appreciate you. Certainly, I wish you well on your path and on your journey. Okay. Those of you who are new, YouTube is actually growing. And so, welcome, new viewers, new subscribers. I'm glad to have you here. I certainly hope that you find here at Bloom from Within Love a variety of information, spiritual aids, guidance, and then even sometimes a little bit of humor here on your path and journey, and hope that it certainly serves you well in a high vibrational way. Um, Either way it goes, okay? So, as promised, earlier I was on and I talked about some of the common tactics. Hold on one second, guys. I talked about some of the common tactics of karmics. Karmics. It's a common term we hear, and I don't want to get too much into teaching about that term, but in terms of how I use it and my understanding of it, it is simply referencing people that are operating from a low vibration. They don't have the purest intentions. They um, they're not awakening or ascending or healing. They're more 3D based, and then they range in severity. Okay, not all karmics are narcissists. Not all karmics are to the same severity level of toxic, but there's certainly a lot of them are. Okay, and environment plays a big role in that, as well as their culture, their upbringing, their background, and things of that nature. Okay, and when you guys hear me say karmic, there's so many disclaimers I feel like I need to say here. Speaking the truth, I saw another reader put this up today in their post, and I was like, that's kind of cool because it's like she said, I think her statement was, am I gossiping or am I smear campaigning if I'm speaking truth? Now, my disclaimer with that is I knew exactly what she meant, because what karmic energies have a tendency to do is, especially if they're on the narcissistic spectrum, they have a tendency to flip it around. So, in other words, they do all of their dirty deeds, right, in the shadows. Okay. And they don't think nothing of it. So they usually doing their things behind people's backs. They go in little huddles and little groups and here and there and yada yada, right? But then when someone else stands up for themselves and speak a truth, whether it be to them, to the group, or publicly, in the name of defending themselves, then they try to turn it around and say that's gossip or that's slander or that's this and that. And essentially, in that context, it is not. Remember, karmics are highly manipulative people. So, when it's like when they get in the hot seat, then it becomes like an issue. But when they were doing all of the whispering and, saying things here and there to different people and, getting in their huddles and groups and doing the things that they were doing and saying, okay, behind someone's back, it wasn't an issue, right? So we have to be careful with that. There's a couple of disclaimers I feel I have to explain. It's not about trying to even pass. Some would say, how do you say this, team? Okay. Their judgment is coming from source, okay? Creator, archangels, ascended masters, their spirit guides, whatever that is, based on their conduct. It's based on their decisions and their behavior and actions and choices towards individuals, okay? Especially divines, okay? Now, oh man, bootleg. This is what I hate about this bad boy. Anyway, um, so karmics don't like being accountable for what they do, and so I'm gonna get into the 11 here in a second here. Okay. So don't allow yourself, collective, if you're the high vibe collective and maybe you're newly awakening and ascending and healing and clearing and cleansing, don't get caught up in that. Okay. It's only going to confuse you. I'm going to give you a case in point. I mentioned that a couple weeks back or so, I had spoken with my mother, right? And quite honestly, the only reason why I had spoken with her, first and foremost, is because she had reached out to me on my birthday, okay? And I hadn't responded, and I really wasn't going to. But that is essentially why I reached out to her originally, and to, like I mentioned on another video, to give her opportunity to, come clean and all this good old stuff. And yada, yada. Here's a point that I want to share with you guys. When people are heavily manipulative, do your own research. Don't take Bloomy's word for this. Highly manipulative people or narcissistic spectrum or those who engage in dark magic, spell work, anything like that, when you're talking to them, you will get confused. You'll feel a sense and energy of confusion. It's a trickster energy. So this is one of the main reasons why, if you search in psychology or speak to high-level therapists or whatever, they say that when you can, because some people are in situations where it's not possible, but when it's possible, go no contact, because they seek to get in your head, okay, and they seek to um, twist a lot of things. And chances are, if they're really high level, dark spiritualist, while they're talking to you, they're probably in their head thinking some chanting shit. You know what I'm saying? Towards you. Or putting you on hold while they do their chant, shama, 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 to get you under some kind of a cloud and fog. Okay. And I felt that when I was speaking with my mom, but because of, where I am at this point in the journey, I was able to get through it and actually navigate my way and see past it. They're very flattering. They appeal to these types of things. Okay. So that was that. Okay. Those disclaimers. All right. Again, I think I said this on another video, guys, that I gave an analogy about how there is a very fine line between just gossiping, attacking someone, hear me out, targeting someone for no reason because you don't like them or you're in secret competition with them or they're not your friend, I'm saying, whatever, right? And you don't like what they do, you don't like what they believe, you don't like whatever, right? See, that is considered, that energy is karmic, it's low vibrational, it's gossip, it's with ill intent, it is um, without just cause, okay? Other than somebody is insecure and in their feels about, they don't like someone or, whatever. That's one thing. It's another thing for someone to stand up for themselves. That's not the same energy. Sometime back, I gave an analogy about this, about, whether it's you're dealing with narcissistic people who have a tendency to triangulate and they like to go from one conversation to the next, one person to the next, creating confusion, okay? Versus doing things in a more healthy, universal way where they can't manipulate their way through it, okay? They usually have a group of people, I call them their entourages and their flying monkeys. They have those people stand by to help them because this is how they can convince people to believe them. Ask so and so, ask this one, ask that one, ask this one. They'll never say, how about we call the actual person that we're talking about? They'll never say that. Why? Because they know that they're being dishonest. So we have to catch those like little things like that. They'll have convincing things and they'll have a good 4, 5, 12 folks, depending on their entourage, that going to tell stories and collaborate with that, especially if everybody feels like there's going to be something they can benefit off of collaborating with them. Okay? Or if the people are afraid of them, different reasons. So we got that covered. I talked about how mean girls and bullies in school and things of that nature, right? They conduct in such a way and they feel entitled to conduct in however way they see fit. And people allow it. People are usually under their control, whether it be by fear or wanting to fit in with them. And it is until someone at that school or that group, until someone decides to stand up against that person that, I'm saying, call them out on their things and, whatever, face them off, right? So it's the same thing. That person that stood up to these bullies in school and these scenarios, whether they called them out on their shit, they got them in their face, or whatever, they're not doing the same thing as the bully. And the reason why they're not doing the same thing as the bully, first and foremost, is their frequency, is their intention, and it's the reasoning behind what happened. It's called self-defense. It's called, you know what I'm saying, uh, standing up for oneself or calling out a person's actions of what was done to them personally. Okay? Very, very different. Another thing I want to add is some people would say, and don't worry, I'm going somewhere, you guys. I'm going to get to the 11, but I feel like this part is important because it's also tactics of karmics. Okay? Um, they'll say things like, well, it should have been handled this way. Now, hear what I'm saying. Listen close to what I'm saying. They'll say things like, well, it should have been done this way. I felt like it should have been done that way. I felt like this would have been a more appropriate approach and way of handling it. But they're the very people that they themselves didn't conduct in such a way. You see where I'm going? Pay attention. They didn't conduct in such a way. Okay. So they have a high demand for loyalty, respect, and secrecy or discretion when it comes to them. But they did not operate that way when it came to the target of their hate or their envy. So we have to catch those little things. And chances are the individuals that they have targeted actually did several times over throughout a time span attempt to probably talk to those individuals personally, okay, about things over and over. So, especially when these karmics are going about things in sneaky, sly ways, in other words, they're hiding, okay, then if the targeted person were to come at them with that, as is typical with most narcissists, then they're going to deny it. Case in point, I just told you guys I'd spoken with my mom a couple of weeks ago. So, getting to a place of understanding that, if someone has gotten to the place where now they're just speaking and living their truth, and what I'm saying, they're speaking out, or um, in terms of who they are or their side of something, it is because anything outside of that is going to be triangulated, gaslit, denied. But they'll take those very things and play victim to whoever they're trying to keep stuck and to whoever their flying monkey groups are. Did you hear so and so? I can't believe this. But they were not in that energy. You guys got to remember this, collective, especially if you were involved with them in some way and now you're trying to heal on a sin. You have to think for yourself. They were not doing that. You got to go way back. Like, were they so concerned about ethics when they were dragging this person's name through the mud? Were they concerned about what was just and fair and right when they were going behind this person's back and trying to interfere with this and that? Were they concerned about something should be kept private when they were trying to exploit vulnerabilities mixed with half truths about the person that they targeted? Were they concerned about sensitivity when they themselves were talking about this person in groups and laughing and hee-heeing and haw-hawing? No. You guys collected, you have to remember that when they're coming with their tears and their mind word salads and stuff, because they themselves did not hold that kind of conduct. And you know it as a matter of fact. But when karmics are exposed, that is one of the main things that they eventually do, especially if they're more on the narcissistic side. It's the double standard that they carry. Okay. So always keep that in mind. Again, this is why if you were to reference like psychiatrists, psychologists going into that arena, they would tell you, hey, if you're trying to change your life and you feel like you've been in some toxic, crazy shit, if it is possible, get your ass out, go non-contact with these people. Because their communication is not for the reason that more balanced folks' communication is for. Theirs is to gain control. Theirs is to create illusion and confusion and to get someone trapped in the head. Okay? That's their intention. So once you've gotten what you've gotten, you just have to simply accept it for what it is. Okay? Because remember, like all these crocodile tears and promises and all the stuff that they result to, okay, you have to step out of your own emotion and kind of go back and look at the trace that person's behavior. Because truly sincere people, benevolent people, even if they're not perfect, you guys, hear me out. They really do, even when they fell or they made a mistake, they did something wrong, you know, they, first and foremost, it's not, it doesn't have to be, it ain't when, they only got that way because the rubber done met the road and the shit didn't hit the fan. That's another clue. They have a conscience. So even if things were going well, they have a conscience. Because if they know that they, yeah, they'll be haunted and be like, you know what, I was tripping. I shouldn't have done that. I shouldn't have said that. And I feel like it ain't gonna be right until I say something, or like they have a conscience and they're not trying to finagle their way through something. That's another clue. Okay. Um, yeah, because they lacked all that sympathy and empathy and compassion when they was being mean girls. You guys have to remember that stuff. When they were sitting and chanting and doing black magic and rituals, when they were, you know what I'm saying? When they were trying to so-called expose somebody, when they were, where you have to connect the dots. Where was all of this tears and sensitive and, where was that at? It ain't real. It's not real. It's only real as it pertains to what they want, right? The empathy, the sympathy, the compassion, the sensitivity that they themselves fail to extend. Okay. Now, another overall theme is win lose. Win at all costs is a common theme of karmics. So their mentality is not about, how could they may say this, but they're essentially interested in how they go in. But if it takes them pretending like they want everybody to win, they will do that for a time. Okay. Um, they thrive on chaos. They thrive on creating drama and chaos um, to various degrees. This is why they have a tendency to be very slick and slithery and sneaky and like sly in the background, because they get a high off of feeling like they stole something from somebody. A benevolent being does not get a high off of that. Let me just make that clear. They thrive on that, and they, like subtly, they may try to save face, but this is why they slither, and whisper and slither behind the scenes in the shadows. Okay. So pay attention to individuals, collective, that has this as a pattern where you notice that, you're trying to get to know them or you're hanging out or what friend, family, lover, whomever on a personal level. Okay. We're not talking about professional. We're not talking about like things like what I do and others that are like me in terms of bringing truths and wisdoms to the collective. This is different. But they thrive off of trying to take things from people, steal things from people, get over on people, you know. It's like those mean girls and bullies in school and stuff. They got their jollies and their highs off of trying to control or tear down others or steal or dominate. Okay. Now let's get into the 11 common tactics of toxic karmic. The 11. Number one, appeals to the lower mind, the ego, the addictions of your life. Okay. That's their number one thing, appealing to that. Okay. Whatever that means. Once they study you, they usually study you. They usually have been watching you because they're very intelligent. Some of them are highly intuitive and they took their gifts or their capabilities and used it for the dark side. They used it for the dark side. So, so they're going to zone in on that for you. Okay. So let's say you have, I'm going to use a different kind of a weakness because I always use a certain one. So let me flip to something totally off the cuff. Let's say you like a lot of attention. Okay. I rarely use this one. Let's say you like a lot of attention. That's like your weakness. That's your Achilles heel. That's your kryptonite. You like to be doted on. You like to be stroked. You like somebody, what I'm saying, to be telling you how wonderful and great and awesome and powerful and mighty and beautiful and like, to the max, like to the umpteenth, right? Let's say that's your weakness because maybe you're lonely or maybe there's an inner child wounding there that happened. And so that's something that could cause you to be easily pulled away or easily swayed. So if they have picked it up about you, honey child, let me tell you, this is going to be to the max. They're going to be sending you nudie pics. They're going to be talking about, let's do this and that. They're going to be, you know, telling you how wonderful you are all day long. And, just to the extra, like, oh my gosh, like way extra though, y'all, okay? And it's not sincere. Hear me out. There's nothing wrong with complimenting and making people feel good. The issue is the um, intentions and the lack of sincerity. The intention and the lack of sincerity because it is with the sole goal. It's with the sole goal of simply getting you distracted and captivated, and perhaps that you would bypass any red flags that are in front of you. Okay. Illusion. By flooding a person, they call it love bombing. Okay. So if it's the attention you like, right? The stroking, okay, or it could be, you like acts of service. Everybody has a different weakness, and let's say your acts of service is kind of gone toxic because you need a little bit of healing. And so you can be exploited in that way. So they may come giving you gifts. Look at what I got for you. Look at what I got for you, girl. Buying you expensive gifts, buying your children things, buying your family things, right? That's a big one. If that's your Achilles heel, again, this is all about taking down defense. There's nothing wrong with people doing these things. But if people are doing this stuff quickly and right away, That's another red flag. Number two, it's about, the intention, right? And the goal, the intention, the motivation, the lack of sincerity. Okay. Trying to get in. Okay. Which is leading me to number three. No, I'm sorry. Number two, people pleasing. So the reason why they may target in that way, as far as like the gift giving and the kissing butts and all that stuff with the friends and the family, because they're going to want the friends and the family to support them being a part of your world. So they're going to study the issues of the friends and the family so they can appeal to that. So that when the time comes, they could have backing in terms of being looked at and viewed in a certain way. And then to make the collective be like, well, oh, well, yeah, okay. Getting in good with friends and family, people pleasing, that's number two. Okay. Number three, play dumb and innocent. Play dumb and innocent. So the entire time, usually with karmics, they knew full well what they were doing, way before you probably did. And when stuff started to come out or, be revealed, especially if it's to friends and family or whomever, then it's like, what? 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 I don't even know. Oh my gosh, no. I would never. Oh my God. I don't know anything about that. I don't even understand. Oh, uh, it is to disarm the collective and make the collective feel like, well, nobody's going to be as infested as that if it were true. They're pathological. Okay. Number four, use religion, spirituality as weapons. Use relationships, being related, seniority as weapons and strategies. So, depending on who they are and their personality and their background and all those things, then they will start defaulting to any type of quotes, spiritual texts, belief systems, culture, relations, how long they've been in one's life, or how long they have known you, or things of that nature to against someone if that's your weakness, to further solidify their argument, their statement, their view, okay, to get the collective to bend in their way. All right. Number five, deflect, project, gaslight, um, word salad, lies, illusion, and confusion. So once confronted, when all of these things start to slowly seep up and you start trying to maybe ask them a question and going back and asking about this and asking about that. This is why it is recommended no contact, because this is what happens. Number five, deflect, project, gaslight, word salad, lies, illusion, and confusion. And we may feel collective. I mean, I've fallen into this trap in my past. Hear me out. You may feel like, oh, I'm relatively intelligent. I'm kind of smart. Hmm. Pride goes before the fall. I'm kind of smart. I'm sure I could. Man, don't get it twisted. Especially when you're dealing with people who dabble in those dark arts, man. Okay. So You may be, very intelligent, but it's beyond intelligence. Okay, has nothing to do with that. So they will evade your questions. They will turn things around. They will twist the words. They'll deflect. They'll downright lie. They may put you on pause and on hold and say a chat and come back to create illusion and confusion, to make you doubt your reality, to make you doubt your intuition, to make you doubt what you know. Okay. Number 6, they actually seek to get a legal hold on you. Okay. And how they do this is going to be, is going to vary. Okay. For some of them, it could be, for an example, like if it's just roommates, like you and a homie, but they're a karmic homie. Okay. They seek to get you tied into legal contracts, which will make it complicated for you. Okay. To where if you wanted there to be a separation or an ending, you know what I'm saying? It's going to be either costing you or you're going to lose something. And when you're still trying to heal, at first it's hard to let go of those things because it's like, okay, I'm still dealing with this and that and yada, yada. So these are tactics that karmic energies use to try to tie up your life. Okay. If nothing else, but to try to stall you out from being able to move forward. If they feel like they know you and they know that you're not going to let go of some type of a legal binding contract or, something to that effect. So they will probably talk about a lot of deals, you know, ideas and things of that nature that they would like to get into with you. Okay. Others, if it's more romantic based, this is why they seek marriage. It's why they seek, to buy homes and all these things because they want a legal binding contract. Okay. To create cycles with you. Okay. To try to energetically shift some things to them. Because when we sign documents, it is affected energetically as well. This is one of the reasons why they try that. Okay. Um, Number 7. Oh, this is my favorite one. Number 7. Well, not my favorite one, but I like this one. Number 7. Oh, Delilah. I call it Oh, Delilah. And the reason why I call number 7 Oh, Delilah is it's based on a biblical whore. Samson and Delilah. Good old biblical story. Delilah. Oh, Delilah. Delilah was the seductress. And you can say, oh, Delilah guy. I mean, it could be a guy or a girl, right? We're not just targeting feminine. It can be a man in a Delilah energy, right? So essentially, Delilah is the seductress and she seeks power and control. She's a sleeper spy, okay? And she comes in to take down the strength of someone. So karmics in this energy seek to know your secrets. They seek to know your vulnerabilities. They seek to know the things that maybe no one else knows, right? That has the power to hurt you in a big way. That has a power to strip you of power in a way. Okay. So they come in this way and they get you to get vulnerable with them. They get you to trust them. Some of them put a spell on you to do it. Shit, I'm just going to keep it 100. Okay. So that if for whatever reason coming down the line, you decide that you no longer want to collaborate with them, then they can use your vulnerability against you. Okay. Number 8, like I just said, essentially they use your secrets against you. So being vulnerable with these individuals, usually costs a lot. It's okay as long as you're doing what they want you to do. But the moment something shifts there, then you can bet your bottom dollar now there's going to be something there. Okay. Number 9, they mimic divine's energy. The divines, those that are on divine path, divine feminine, divine masculine. They mimic their energy, their personality, their persona, their interests, their profession, their style, um, their voice, their mannerisms, their gait. They study these individuals, especially if they're aware of who they are. Okay. And they mimic that. That's another key element of karmic energy. And they usually try to twist and project and say that it's the divine masculine or divine feminine that's trying to mimic them. But all one has to do is go back, collective, and reflect. Go back. It's very easy to see, but you have to be willing to think for yourself first and foremost. Think for yourself and go back and evaluate from that space. Okay. All right. So now, number 10 of the 11, so we're almost done. Number 10, they create, now this is where it's getting technological, where it's starting to get into technology, internet, social media, documents, things of that nature. Okay. They create false proofs with elements of truths. Okay. They collaborate with friends and family, usually that are toxic or karmic in nature, to sabotage divine feminines or divine masculines. Okay. In other words, like I said, phone, tablet, social media, pictures, etc. So they will, if there's trouble in paradise, they will start to campaign. So if they're needing to cause chaos and conflict between counterparts, then they will, like I said, create dating sites using the pictures, using any information and data that they have in their disposal to, send things to the counterpart. They'll use um, um, phones, different like burner phones, burner numbers, things of that nature with the pictures, and try to like fool the counterpart, right? They'll do all these things with the intention of being able to provide their false proofs with elements of truth to convince someone, okay, see, I told you they were a whore. I told you he was a whore. I told you, they were over here doing this and that. I told you they were over here doing this and that. See, I told you, what I'm saying, they don't want you or, all these different things in their desperation. This is usually when, if they feel like they're not convincing the person, then they will try to do that to solidify and say, hey, see, it's right here. See, that ain't me. That ain't me. I'm right here. See, how is that me if I'm right here? You know what I'm saying? Like stuff like that, right? But they're collaborating with people. Now, yeah. Let me get to number 11. 11, the damsel in distress, or I don't know what you call the man in distress. The man in distress, damsel in distress, emotional manipulation. So, one of the final tactics, could often be where now, people are sick, they got a disease, they're going to die. This one died, that one had an accident. So they use all these things, especially when it's already over. It's already over. You've already gone your way or whatever. Um, to appeal to your tender spot. If you have a tender spot of your heart, to appeal to that so you can be like, oh, or, well, you know, they'll use the kids, they'll use, what am I going to do? And what about? And all those things. But you guys have to remember, you know what I'm saying? It's called codependency, by the way. But you have to remember, you have to look at the whole thing that you've ever gone through with these particular individuals and how they conduct it towards other people, how they conduct it, especially if they conduct it in some kind of way with a divine counterpart, divine masculine, a divine feminine. Okay? If all of that sympathy and empathy was not demonstrated for that person, you got to ask yourself the question. It's like, it's ironic how they feel like there should be some empathy and sympathy and consideration for their circumstance. And when someone else or others were perhaps in those same situations with them, they didn't do that. They didn't think twice about kicking someone to the curb. They didn't think twice about it, kid or not. Right? So, but when it comes to them, then it's like, this is when it becomes all of a sudden, unjust and unfair. So these are classic things that they do to keep tying up divines past their lives, them from being able to cut cords or move on. Okay. Um, where am I at, team? So, God, hold on, guys. I think that just about covers it. Again, it's not gender specific, guys. So just understand that whether it is a karmic masculine or feminine energy, whether it's a man or a woman, okay, it doesn't really matter. Whether it is friends, family, a lover, a co-worker, a spiritualist, practitioner, a boss, clergy, it doesn't matter. Okay. Um, hmm. Oh, there we go. Okay. So to wrap it up, guys, very basic. Okay. I highly recommend you guys do your research. I highly recommend you study narcissism. I highly recommend you, look into um, behavioral health, psychology, you know, look into these things for yourself. Okay. Study karmics, do your own searching outside of hearing me or any other reader, or especially hearing those that you're entangled with. Like, do your own due diligence. Okay. Um, because, it's a very fine line. It could be very gray and fuzzy. And I'm just trying to share like some highlights that could possibly help differentiate things. Right? But we have to take into play that some people are practicing very high level dark spiritual work. So, it just depends on the level of severity here. So it's not going to be clean cut for you, because if they got spell work involved here, if they've put some spells on you, if they put spells in your food, in your clothing, in your, whatever, if it's, especially if you've had sex, if it's a sexual thing, you know what I'm saying? So it's not going to be, while you're still in the thick of it, it's not going to be easy, even though I'm pointing out these things. Okay. Hopefully these things help. But doing your due diligence, okay, that's going to help you so that way you don't feel like, to me, doing the due diligence on your own gives you the power, and it helps you to know that it's not someone trying to sway you. Because what happens is every time we're just sitting and listening to something or someone, we feel like someone is just trying to sway us. So if you do your own version of this, then you'll come to find out what you need to in that way and feel more empowered and not like you're being bent in a certain direction. Okay. Um, on a whole sense, if you want to take something away, you guys, those that are in the more karmic type of energies, whether they're severely toxic, narcissistic, or not, usually they're very messy. Okay. And what I mean by that is it's a rare day on earth that you're gonna see that person actually um, in front of your face seek to make any type of amends, apologize for things, seek to bring all parties involved, to bring clarification to things. They never do that because that's never their intention and goal to begin with. So that is one of the main clues, if nothing else, that should sit with you because everybody does make mistakes in life. And that's typically the whole angle that karmics take. Everybody makes mistakes. Nobody's perfect. They were stressed out. They had so much going on. They were just upset. Like these are the things. But when you're divine in nature or benevolent in nature, you don't make excuses to try to get out of facing the music. And that is a telltale sign of what kind of energy you're dealing with a person. Okay. I also want to add, as I'm closing this up, everybody is responsible for their choices and behavior. Me sharing these 11 top, common ways and tactics and information is by no means um, deflecting the responsibilities off. Everyone is responsible. Divines are divine feminine, divine masculine. You know what I'm saying? Karmic, when divines are choosing karmics, when, everyone is essentially responsible for their role. Okay. Because it does take two at the end of the day. So this is not about like, okay, just trying to put it all onto karmics. Okay. Karmics serve a role for us to learn lessons. They serve as a mirror, okay, of things that we're refusing to see. But it's not all on them. It does take two, okay? Because at the end of the day, if you're a divine feminine and a divine masculine, early in your ascension or earlier in your awakening, you're still being given guidance. And so the universe isn't strict by that either, okay? They're aware of what karmics are doing. And karmics will have to reap what they sow. But likewise, divine feminine and masculines, we have to take responsibility as well. Yeah, sure, some stuff be messed up and yada yada. Source sees that. But as we're given guidance, it's up to us to do our guidance and take the responsibility for how we even got there and do our best to follow through with whatever we feel like source, our higher self is guiding us to do to essentially transform that, change that, move us out of that. So I just wanted to say that because I don't want it to come off like, okay, it's the karmic. Well, yeah, yeah and no. Yes and no. Because once we know better, we do better. Once we're given guidance, it's up to us to follow the guidance and to make the necessary changes. So, yeah, the more you stay entangled with karmic energy, absolutely. The more you suffer, the more confused you get, the more entangled you get, the more, absolutely. That's the penalty on divine because we have a free will as well. Okay. All right, you guys. So I hope this helped. Please only take what resonate and read the description box here. Okay. And always follow that higher internal guidance system of yours. Okay. Be balanced with what's been presented here. And if you feel like you need professional help, please seek that. There's absolutely nothing wrong with it. It is one of the most healthiest things I feel like we can do, especially if we've gone through a whole lot. But be guided even with that, okay, in terms of what you do, who you go to, and what you feel like is going to be helpful for you in healing, awakening, transcending, clearing your energy, and moving out of karmic templates and karmic connections the most gracious way you can. But in some cases, like they say in the psychology, in terms of the more toxic situations, sometimes it has to be abrupt when you're dealing with someone that is toxic or you're dealing with somebody that is doing spell work and doing all these things um, against you for your own sanity, for your own safety, for the health and well being of your life, your path, and your journey. Okay. I sent you guys love and light. I wish you well. Namaste.